What are some great examples of the Streisand Effect? Sci-Hub. It's a site where you can request journal articles that are behind paywalls. They have credentials to get them for you and then in turn give them to you. UK police issued a statement that using it was illegal, and I doubt many people even knew it existed. I've heard that if you just contact the scientists who created the article, they will often just give it to you for free. They want to be heard and for people to be interested in what they're doing. The paywalls are only supporting the paywall site, not the science or scientists. For single articles, that's probably true. However, when you are just doing a literature search, as in, fishing in the darkness, you usually scan through dozens, if not hundreds of articles. You can't reasonably get all of them from the authors. It's also incredibly inefficient for everyone involved. Like, could this please not be the system, capitalism? Scientists and other researchers have better crap to do. Besides Amy Challoner, the Church of Scientology tried to get videos of Tom Cruise speaking about Scientology removed from the internet, and it led to a massive protest against Scientology in 2008. Edit name. Massive protest against Scientology in 2008. You forgot the best part. It was a massive protest against Scientology, orchestrated by 4chan. It was utter chaos. Scientology had to unplug their fax machines because they just kept spewing black pages to waste toner. Their headquarters was besieged by a crowd of neckbeards in Guy Fawkes masks with boomboxes rick-rolling the cult non-stop. A mad lad anon in NYC stripped to just his underpants, covered himself in Vaseline and donated pubes, and streaked through the Scientology offices. They didn't catch him because he was too slippery. Greased up deaf guy FTW. 4chan are amazing at effing with people. They don't half-ass anything when they have a mission. I'm sure the only reason aliens haven't attacked Earth is because they're afraid of 4chan retaliation. Wait, do you mean the Amy Challoner that has absolutely no problems with pedophilia and the Amy Challoner that married a pedophile? Is that the same Amy Challoner that is removing posts about her because she doesn't like criticism? Keep in mind that's Amy with 2 ES. I can imagine how Amy Challoner wouldn't want the name Amy Challoner plastered all over Reddit, but what Amy Challoner doesn't seem to understand is that removing all posts referencing the name Amy Challoner only leads to more people asking about what's the matter with Amy Challoner, which would not be beneficial to Amy Challoner because it turns out Amy Challoner is married to a pedophile. I don't like people who rape children. Amy Challoner apologizes with people who rape children. Therefore, I don't like Amy Challoner. Edit. I copied this, as a copypasta. It is not my original comment lol. Edit 2. Stop buying awards, you cretins. I forgot how to spell her name, care to remind me? It's Amy Challoner FYI. Pedo apologist Amy Challoner? Yes, that Amy Challoner. The Amy Challoner? Till who Amy Challoner is. I think this entire thread was subtly created as a means to get this entire story out for those out of the loop. You and I have different definitions of subtle, but I agree that was the intention of this thread. Amy Challoner hired her father to work on her election campaign after he had been charged with raping and torturing a 10-year-old girl by tying them to a roof rafter and electrifying them whilst he dressed in a nappy. This all happened in the house he shared with his wife and Amy. Amy hired him after all these allegations were made and even put a false name on election material to hide it. She also is in a relationship with someone who openly writes pedophilic erotica. Reddit inexplicably hired her as an admin, and she also moderates children's subs. An as of yet unnamed Reddit admin, probably the person in question, then tried to remove an article mentioning this as well as banning the mod that posted it. 48 hours ago, no one really knew who she was or the people she associated with. Now millions of people know her name. Possibly the greatest example of the Streisand effect I have ever seen. Wow, that's disgusting. I'm one of those who have no clue who she is. Time to do a bit more exploring. Edit. So holy effing crap, after a very quick Google, this person is a whole other level of creepy, and I'm no FBI agent, but I wouldn't be surprised if she and her family/partner/friends are actually a pedophile ring of some sort. 3 different people spanning 3 different countries involved in a strange relationship with each other, with one family member already in jail for raping and torturing a 10-year-old, and these people / this person involved in politics and social media platforms targeting vulnerable young people. This is gross. Reminder that she WHO cannot be named is basically a very special person has acquired a position at Reddit that allows them to remove posts about themselves and their sordid background. Their father was a pedo who tortured a 10-year-old girl in the attic, but this super special Reddit employee knew nothing about it. Then when their daddy was being investigated, they decided to let their daddy be the photographer for their political campaign. Let's not forget that this very special Reddit employee called the 10-year-old victim a lying slut and that they would have them, has married a self-proclaimed nonce who has openly admitted that he fantasies about having sex with adults having sex with children, children having sex with children, torture and abusing them. Nor the fact this very special Reddit employee has had various accounts on several platforms that link in with their husband's thinking, diapers, furries, and cubs etc. has liked daddy's BDSM torture pictures etc. after he was convicted etc. But this is such a special Reddit employee, so the whole of their background shouldn't ever be mentioned in their name, as they are so super special to Reddit. So special that this Reddit employee runs several of the largest LGBT subs on here, including teen trans groups etc., even though, in my personal opinion, they should not have access to anyone who is vulnerable. Edit sources had to remove Kiwi link, as it is banned site-wide. I've tried my best to get sources for everything I have said together from a variety of liberal / forum / local / national news pages here in the UK. I apologize for typos, I am dyslexic so don't always see any issues. Web link. We are all witnessing the power of the Streisand Effect. I still don't actually know what the Streisand Effect is. The more you try to hide or censor something, the greater the demand to see /hear /Reddit grows with those you're trying to hide it from. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Me, looks at the man behind the curtain. Edit. Wow, feeling the love from this comment. Thanks all. Continue to pursue knowledge and be kind. Oh, that makes sense. Like that guy who sued to have any mentions of his debt from the 1980s removed from Google search results, and now all anyone knows about him is that he has debts from the 1980s. It's named after Barbara Streisand, who tried to sue to have obscure aerial photos of her house removed from a coastal erosion study. The resulting publicity meant that millions of people saw the photos and actively sought them out and shared them widely despite her, rather than just being viewed by a few scientists and conservation experts. You got it. That's 100% what it was for, and I'm grateful for it. I did, too. Several of my favorite subreddits suddenly vanished from my feed overnight. And today I learned the power of the word allegedly. Because Amy Chandler allegedly hired her child rapist father into her team. And allegedly, her boyfriend is a pedophile, too. The first part does not need an allegedly because it is an undeniable fact that Amy Knight, formerly Amy Challoner, hired her father while he was being tried for raping and torturing a 10-year-old while Amy Knight, formerly Challoner, was in the house. Amy Chandler allegedly hired her child rapist father into her team. Fixed that for you. Yeah, that one's not even alleged. The father has been convicted and sentenced for pedophilia, and she definitely hired him onto her team. Yeah, that one's not even alleged. The father has been convicted and sentenced for pedophilia, raping and torturing a 10-year-old in the attic of the house he shared with his wife and Amy, and she definitely hired him onto her team after these allegations were made and used a false name on campaign literature to hide it. FTFY. Yeah, it's not pedophilia as an 18-year-old slept with 17-year-olds, so it's statutory rape. It's pedophilia as in kidnapping, confinement, rape and torture of a child over the course of the political figure's adolescence in the same house. It's worth keeping in mind that given the extremity and boldness of the crime and where it took place, it is unlikely to be his first offense. This is just what he was convicted for. Thanks for helping me learn about Amy Challoner through Streisand Effect. Would never have known she existed if it hadn't been for the events the past 48 hours. What an absolute crap show. Now I wonder what other colorful people are moderating popular internet communities. Edit. I was being a bit tongue-in-cheek. We all know that popular communities have been taken over by a certain group of ideologues. Well, there's the theory that Ghislaine Maxwell was a power mod. Edit. Lots of people never heard about this. Are there also people who didn't know its CEO shadow-edited user comments? I mean, the account name has her surname in it. It hasn't posted since her arrest despite having a previous habit of abso-effing-lutely spamming subreddits with stuff. I'm not saying that correlation equals causation, but nobody would be surprised if it turned out to be true. If it isn't her, it's the greatest troll power move of all time. Someone links to a news article that mentions an admin in passing in a relatively minor subreddit? Better ban the mod who posted it. I'm sure that won't bring more attention to it. The only thing stupider than banning that mod was hiring a pedophile ally. You mean the same Amy Challoner who is a pedophile sympathizer, whose father was abusing kids while she lived with him, who had her rapist dad work as her campaign manager, and whose spouse wrote pedophilic rape fan fiction on Twitter? That Amy Challoner? You mean that one, right? The one that is still employed by Reddit and had Reddit activity work from preventing this info from getting out. You mean that Amy Challoner, right? It's not a laughing matter, but the way you wrote that reminds me of Cusco's poison and made me laugh. Oh right, the poison for Cusco, the poison chosen specially to kill Cusco, Cusco's poison, that poison. Wait until you find out she's using Reddit to groom teenagers. Edit. Turns out even worse. Apparently, Reddit admins are helping her to maintain mod positions by allowing her to transfer mod abilities to her alt accounts. Basically, they want a pedophile in charge of teenager-focused subreddits. This whole thing I hope ends in a serious FBI investigation of Reddit's entire staff, because something is smelling really off from the CEO downwards. Could be /userspas and other Reddit employees trying to tank the IPO to buy out a big chunk of Reddit? That would be serious insider trading if true, with hopefully a very long prison sentence. Reddit link. Sympathizer and apologist. Amy Challoner works for Reddit? Amy Challoner, the daughter of a pedophile that was in the house when children were being abused? That Amy Challoner? The same Amy Challoner who is trying to delete threads on Reddit mentioning that Amy Challoner is the daughter of a pedophile and may have had knowledge of the activities going on in the same house Amy Challoner was living in. Are we talking about the same Amy Challoner? I think it's the Amy Challoner whose husband has publicly tweeted that he fantasized about children having sex, sometimes with adults, sometimes with other children, sometimes kidnapped and forced into bad situations. I'm still pissed about the fact my main account got banned for 3 days just for pinging our authoritarian leaders and asking if they really thought it was a good idea to hire someone who looks the other way for pedophiles. Apparently, they're more than okay with it. Good job, Reddit. See, your first mistake was thinking that they have a problem with pedophiles. That implies quite a lot of self-loathing. Also just learned about Amy Challoner. Maybe we should start calling it the Challoner Effect. Amy Challoner deleting threads that bring up the fact her father is a pedophile and abused children when she was in the house at the same time. Wow, Amy Challoner sounds like a real piece of crap. Guess what? She works for Reddit works, present tense. They won't get rid of her. Amy Challoner works for Reddit? Amy Challoner, the daughter of a pedophile that was in the house when children were being abused? That Amy Challoner? The same Amy Challoner who is trying to delete threads on Reddit mentioning that Amy Challoner is the daughter of a pedophile and may have had knowledge of the activities going on in the same house Amy Challoner was living in. Are we talking about the same Amy Challoner? Cusco's poison, the poison for Cusco. The poison made specifically to kill Cusco. Yes, Amy Challoner works for Reddit. The daughter of a pedophile that was in the house when children were being abused is Amy Challoner. That Amy Challoner. Also, the same Amy Challoner who is trying to delete threads on Reddit mentioning Amy Challoner is the daughter of a pedophile and may have had knowledge of the activities going on in the same house Amy Challoner was living in. We are definitely talking about the same Amy Challoner. This is a reverse example of the Streisand Effect, or, if not reverse, at least a would-be example that was smartly blocked, but Disney chose to ignore, a film shot in Disneyland, rather than pursue legal action against the filmmakers. My guess is that Randy Moore, the film director, was probably banking on viral headlines of Disney sues filmmaker for shooting anti-Disney film inside of park that would end up generating huge interest in the movie and making him famous. Instead, Disney seemed to have foresaw the Streisand effect that would have occurred and did the right thing, for themselves, by not turning it into a big story. It's a good thing too because the movie sucked. Imagine making a movie so bad even Disney didn't think it was worth blocking. They only made $165,000 box office on a budget of $650K. Tickets to Disney are pretty expensive. Guess it worked since I've never heard of it. Damn. That's how you do it. Yeah, I remember being shown the film at a friend's house and I asked whether Disney did anything about it. He said no, but they did film it all in secret, really did take away the allure that would have been if they had attempted to suppress it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.